Hey guys, this is Benoit and I'm going to walk you through setting up your development environment for creating React Native applications and testing them out on Android and iOS. I'm going to walk you through setting up Xcode for simulating applications on the iOS side, as well as setting up Android SDK to test your application on your Android platform. Before we do that, I'm going to quickly go through the React Native documentation, which provides detailed steps, and anytime you get stuck on any step, you can always go to the documentations and you can follow along. I will also have the link to this posted in the description below for anyone to follow along. So we're going to be following this guide for the most part, and let's get our hands dirty and get started. So first thing we want to do is open your terminal, and to do that you can open your Spotlight or Alfred if you use that and type in terminal, and you can open that. I use iTerm, which is a replacement for terminal, and I'm going to use that. So first thing we're going to do is install Brew. So you can find Brew on the website brew.sh, or you can simply Google Homebrew and you will be finding that link that way. What Brew is basically a package manager for OS X. If you're familiar with how Linux works and how apt works, this is the same thing but provides the functionality on Macintosh. And to install, it's pretty easy. All you have to do is copy this script, go back to your terminal and paste it there and press enter. Since I already have it installed, it's not going to install it again for me, but in your case it will go through the installation process and install it for you. After you do that, the next step according to the documentation is to install Nodejs, and one suggested way that Facebook tells is to install it using NVM, and they have a set of instructions on how to do that. We're gonna follow the same route, but I do want to lay out that you can also install Node using Brew. You can do Brew install Node and it will also work that way. The reason you want to do NVM is because it provides you a version manager for Node, and you can switch to different version of Node as needed. Click on this link to get to the NVM GitHub repository, and it will provide you on ways to how to install it. Please note that NVM does not support Windows. There are alternatives for using NVM on Windows, which are also listed here, and I'm going to be installing this on a Mac, so I'll be following the install guide as provided. So all you have to do is either copy the curl or the wget script and go back to your terminal and paste it in. And once you do that, it would install NVM on your system, and again, since it's already installed on my system, it will not do it again, but in your case it will install it again. And it does say you have to close and reopen your terminal to start using NVM. Since I already have NVM installed, I'm not going to do that. So the next thing you want to do is type in NVM install the version of Node you want to install. In my case, I already have NVM 5.9.1, but you could view that by typing NVM ls, and it will tell you what versions are installed in your system. So I'm currently using the version 5.9.1, and you can feel free to use that if you want, or you can switch to the latest version available. To install the latest version, all you have to do is type in NVM install latest, and you can also run a script and which will basically run the command after the first command is finished. You can do NVM set alias default latest. So what this will do is make the latest version of Node as a default version on your computer. So every time you open terminal, you don't have to restart or type that command to set it as the default version. So the next thing we're going to do is install Watchman and Flow, and these are some of the requirements that are needed to run React Native applications. And to install Watchman and Flow, it's a pretty simple process. All you have to do is type in brew install Watchman, and once that is done, you will type in brew install Flow to install Flow. And once that is done, the next step you want to do is open the Mac App Store to install Xcode. To do that, you will just simply search for App Store and your Spotlight, and it will open that up. And in the search command, you want to type in Xcode, and it should be the first link that pops up. In my case, I already have that installed, so if you do not have it installed, you just have to click the install button, and it probably takes a while because it's about 5 gig sized application, so depending on your internet speed, it will take some time. So just be patient, and once you're done installing, you can catch up with the video. So once that is done, what you want to do is install the React Native command line tool. So to do that, you will type npm install -g react native CLI and just press enter, and it will install the React Native tools, and you can start using the React Native command line tools, which we'll come back to later. So the next step we want to do is start setting up the Android version of the application. One thing I do want you to note is that I've had issues with setting up Android, and it's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but it's not that complicated if you just follow the simple steps I'm trying to provide you. And one thing I would highly recommend is if you have Android Studio already installed and Android SDK already installed, I would highly recommend that you uninstall it and get rid of it, because that was something that caused issue for me, and just to make everything smooth, it's easier to uninstall it and then install it back later. I will also have links to a Stack Overflow article which will tell you commands which you can run to uninstall Android Studio and the Android SDK completely. So first thing you want to do is install the latest JDK. So to do that, in Google we will search JDK, and it will get you to the download link. I will also have the link to it posted in the description below, and you can hit the download link, accept the license, and download the latest version appropriate for your system. I already have the JDK installed, so I don't want to walk you through the installation process because it's fairly simple click through process, and I want to keep the video as short as possible. Once that is done, you want to go back to your terminal and type in brew install Android SDK to install the latest version of the Android SDK on your system. This using brew makes everything easier, as you can just type a command to have things installed, and it will also set some variables and stuff needed. So I already have the SDK installed, so it will show me a warning that it's already installed, but in your case it will provide you a location where the Android SDK is installed, and you want to put that location in your bash RC or your zrc if you're using the Z shell to create the Android home, which other applications will be using. To do that, all you have to do is type in sudo. So make sure you type in sudo, since this file won't edit if you're not sudo, and type in vim or nano depending on the editor of your choice. And either if you're using bash, you will type in bash rc. If you're using Z shell like me, you will type in zshrc and type in the password, and it will open up the file. So I have all my custom variables in the bottom below, and if you can look at it, this is the Android home variable, and you want to copy that and paste it somewhere in the file. It doesn't matter where you post it as long as it's somewhere in the file. I just like to put in the bottom to have it kind of a little bit organized. So once you do that, you can exit out by typing escape :wq, and it will save that file. You will have to restart your terminal, so you want to exit out of terminal and open it back again to have the variable set. So next thing you want to do is open the Android SDK Manager, and you can do that simply by typing Android. And if this doesn't work, that means you have some issue which has been caused during the installation. So things you want to install here are also provided on the Facebook documentation, which will, again, I have the link in the description below. And you want to install the SDK tools, the platform tools, the build tools version 23.0.1, the SDK platform for a platform of your choice, and the system image. along with local Maven repository. Something I found in my install especially was that I did not have the local Maven repository on my SDK Manager, so I just installed the support library and the support repository. So I will show you what items I have installed and you can do the same. So I have the SDK tools, I have the platform tools, and make sure to install the build tools version 23.0.1 as well as the SDK platform for any Android version of your choice. I chose to install 6.0, which is already installed for me, and the system images along with the support library as well as the repository. This was something that worked for me, and once you do that, it will go through installation process. It will ask you to accept a license, which is fairly simple. You can read it if you're interested, really. And once that is done, you can close the SDK Manager and we will go to a website to install Genymotion. So what Genymotion is basically it helps you use device emulators, but it provides you a lot more emulators than just stock Android emulators provided by Google. So to do that, you will go to Genymotion.com and you will need to create an account on the website to download the products. I already have an account, so I'm just gonna sign in with my account. And once you sign in, you can hit the download link and you can download the appropriate file for your operating systems. So once you download it, it will walk you through again a simple drag and drop installation process and you will get to go. After you install Genymotion, the next thing you want to do is open Genymotion, and it will take a little bit. And once you're on this application, you probably won't have any device listed because that will be the first time starting up the application. So what you want to do is add a new device, and you will not have any device listed unless you sign in. So you want to sign in with the same account you created on the website, and you will see a list of devices. As you can see, they have a lot of devices available, including the Nexus lineup, the HTC, Samsung, Motorola, Sony. So you have a lot of devices where you can test on. So I'm going to install a new device, probably a Nexus 5, but it doesn't matter which one you choose. I guess I can install a Nexus 5X, and I'm going to hit next. You can name it whatever you want, and then once you're ready, you can hit next. And the first time you're installing, it will take a little bit of time to download it and set it up, and you can hit finish. One thing I did realize that is a requirement to install Genymotion, and it's my bad, I forgot to mention it before, is you do need Virtualbox installed. So if you do not have Virtualbox installed, you can go to virtualbox.org and go to downloads to install Virtualbox, as it's a requirement for running Genymotion, and it will again walk you through simple installation process, and you can go that and then go to Genymotion. And once we have everything set up, next thing we want to do is go back to our terminal, and so we will create a new React Native project. So to do that, all you have to do is type in React Native init and type in the name of the project. So in this case, I'm just going to put in demo app. So this will create a scaffolding of our application and install our dependencies from npm. And once it's done, you can open it in the Android as well as the iOS simulator. I will catch you back right as when this installation is finished. As you can see, the installation for our application is done, and it has some special commands you can run to run the application in the iOS version as well as the Android version. So we're gonna do the same thing. So we're gonna cd into our application called demo app, and first thing we're gonna do is type in npm start, which starts the React Native package manager. Right, so once you start doing that and the package is ready, you want to open a new tab. You can do that by typing Command T, or you can open a new window by typing Command N. And in here, let's start the Android version first, and you can type in React Native run Android, and this will start setting up the Android version of it. And we can start the application on Genymotion. You can choose to start whichever device. While this is also starting, I'm going to open one more tab and I'm going to open the iOS version and Xcode. So to do that, you want to type in open iOS slash the name of the application, in our case is just demo app.xcode project, and you want to open that in Xcode. If it's your first time installing Xcode, it says it will need extra components to install. Just choose to install, put in your password, so let it install all the tools it needs to run properly. Should be fairly quick process. And let's check on our Android version of the application, just make sure. And seems like we have an issue, and if you look at it, I think it's the device didn't start. So seems like we have an issue where the device wasn't started and I started the packager to run it on Android. That was my bad, and we want to start the device first on Genymotion and then type in the command to run on the Android application, and hopefully this works out. And going back to our Xcode, we want to close that and go back to our terminal and open Xcode again. It seems like our Android application is already installed, so let's take a look at that. While it's loading on your Xcode, well, the first time you're running, it's going to be processing and indexing files, and as soon as that's done, you can hit the start button to start the application on the simulator. So we can see the application's already running on the Android version, and we'll just wait for it to compile and start running on our iOS version as well. As you can see, I started the application on the Nexus 6S Plus, which is fairly large resolution than my machine is. So to lower down the resolution or aspect ratio of the device, you can go to Window, hit Scale, and then you can choose the appropriate setting. I think in my case it's 50%, but based on your screen resolution it will be different. So now you can see we have the application running on the iOS version as well as the Android version. Now you can create applications for Android and iOS using similar code base. If you have any questions, post it in the comment below and I will try my best to help you out. And if you like this video and want me to continue this series, hit the like button, and thank you for watching.